All right, let's jump right into it. If you own a home here in Lakewood Ranch and you're thinking about upgrading to a larger place, maybe a 4-bedroom, or stepping into the luxury market, you already know it's a huge decision. It's not just about picking out a gorgeous new house, right? It's really about timing, managing your risk, and, most importantly, strategy. So let's break down exactly how this works.
So here's the absolute core question every move-up seller is asking right now. If I want to move into a better home here in the ranch, how do I actually know if the market gives me enough leverage to do this safely? Well, our goal for this explainer is to calmly, strategically unpack how you pull this off without the nightmare of holding 2 mortgages or, getting stuck without a roof over your head between closings. To get us there, we're going to quickly walk through the move-up dilemma, check out the larger home landscape, see what actually drives demand, talk about inventory and your leverage, how to win those higher-priced offers, and finally, wrap up with a rock-solid move-up checklist.
Okay, starting off with part 1, the move-up dilemma.
Look, one of the biggest traps move-up sellers fall into is assuming that selling your current home and buying your next one are happening in the exact same market. Actually, scratch that. They almost never are. The starter or mid-tier market you're leaving behind behaves totally differently than that higher-priced neighborhood you're trying to get into. The competitive pressures, the buyer expectations, it's just a whole different ballgame.
Which brings us to part 2, the larger home landscape.
When you cross that $700,000 or $800,000 threshold, things shift dramatically. The buyer pool shrinks, and suddenly, every single person walking through your door acts like an amateur home inspector. They're highly qualified, super picky, and definitely not going to overpay for a place that needs a bunch of work. If you test the waters with an inflated price up here, it's just going to sit. And when it sits, you lose all your negotiating power.
Now the number 4, it's kind of been a magic number in real estate lately. With remote work and growing families, everyone wants a 4-bedroom house, right? But here's the reality check. Just because your house has 4 bedrooms doesn't mean it's an automatic slam dunk sale.
Let's move into part 3. What actually drives demand in this tier?
So if it's not just the bedroom count, what is it? Well, larger homes really have to earn their demand. We're talking functional layouts, killer outdoor spaces, maybe a pristine pool, and just absolutely impeccable condition. Buyers at this level are comparing you against everything else nearby. If they think there's a better alternative 2 streets over that checks all these boxes, they'll pass on yours in a heartbeat.
And that leads to this absolutely crucial point. Pricing determines leverage. It's really that simple. If you overprice, you hand all your leverage right over to the buyer. Your home sits, and you know what happens next. Buyers start whispering, "Hey, what's wrong with this place?" Nailing the price from day 1 is exactly how you keep control of the negotiation.
All right, part 4, inventory and your leverage. Leverage is basically a fancy word for control, and it is directly tied to how much inventory is out there. If the kind of home buyers want is rare, you're in the driver's seat. But if inventory opens up and buyers have a ton of attractive alternatives, oh man, their selectivity goes through the roof. When supply is tight, you can competently dictate the terms, as long as you aren't overpricing. So, how do you protect yourself? One brilliant backup strategy is to explore upfront offers before you even officially hit the market. These are usually right around market value, and they basically create a safety net or a floor for your price. You don't even have to accept them. Just having an offer in your back pocket gives you massive peace of mind and serious leverage when you're weighing your traditional listing options.
Moving on to part 5, winning higher-priced offers. When you're dealing with these luxury price points, the competition isn't just about who writes the biggest check. Honestly, it's just as much about timelines, leasebacks, and home sale contingencies. Sure, a massive offer price looks amazing at first glance, but if it comes with a shaky contingency where the buyer has to sell their own house first, your risk just went way up. You really have to dig into the terms to see how strong an offer actually is. I love this philosophy. Strategy protects the downside while preserving the upside. It's super stabilizing. Instead of running on emotion, you use hard data to anticipate things like low appraisals or extended timelines. You've got to ask yourself, what if my current home takes a month longer to sell? Having that strategy in place means you answer those questions long before they ever become emergencies.
And finally, part 6, your move-up checklist.
Okay, here is the exact sequence to get this right. Number 1. Figure out what your current home is actually worth in today's market. Number 2, get incredibly clear on the target price for your next home. 3, review your financing and your equity. 4, carefully compare the risks of selling first versus buying first. 5, look into those upfront or buy before you sell options as a safety net. And 6, build a concrete timing plan.
Doing this in order is what builds that strategic bridge to your next home.
The big takeaway I want you to remember is this. Before a sign ever goes in your yard, you have to compare your move-up options so you fully understand your timing and your risk. Just blindly deciding to sell first or buy first is a recipe for stress. Getting the sequence right is what actually gives you the certainty and flexibility you need.
So, I'll leave you with this to chew on. Which move-up sequence is going to give you the absolute certainty you need to cross that bridge without looking back? It's all about finding the exact path that protects your equity and keeps your stress levels low. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. As your simple next step, before you list or make any offers, compare your move-up options so you fully understand your timing, leverage, and your backup plan. See you next time.